Hi guys, today we will be creating these Sailor Pluto Boots by Jimmy Choo in Clo3D. Before we begin, I want to show you Clo's Connect page where you can find countless assets to help you elevate your creations, from trims and bows, paid or free, to top stitches and even entire outfits. And on the official Connect account, you can find animations, avatars, accessories, pre-made garments, and something we will be using in this tutorial, shoemaking mannequins or shoe lasts. So I have downloaded everything I'm going to need to create this boot, the boot templates, but also the trims and some different bows. I will be importing here the Clo file because it includes the pre-made sole. Before we begin, I will be disabling ground simulation from simulation properties up here, so it doesn't create any weird collisions and deformations where it meets the ground. Now, let's start by flattening the main body of the boot, selecting the pieces and hitting enter. Then I will be mirroring them to the inside so I can edit both sides at the same time. Ctrl C, Ctrl D, and then I'm going to sew everything together, front and back, but also to the sole. To avoid this sort of protrusion here at the bottom, we can increase the skin offset of the mannequin legs and also lower the particle distance of our pattern pieces. I also want to add a trim full grain leather property to the fabric so it is stiff and sturdy, and I can do that down here to physical property. One important step when creating shoes is to make sure the body and the sole are perpendicular to each other, and I can do that by selecting these lines and changing their fold angle to 90 degrees. Now I can see that the mannequin is messing up the seam of the boots a bit. So what I'm going to do is make the sole a bit bigger by offsetting its outline. I think 2 millimeters should be fine. And there we go. The shaft should reach just below the knee, roughly around here. I will create some internal lines to mark that spot. If you can't see the internal lines in the 3D window, you can click up here and enable this setting, Show Internal Lines. Using the Add Point tool, I will split this line in half and adjust the curve a bit to match the reference. And then I'm going to cut and delete the part I don't need. We need to adjust the shape here at the front a little bit. I'm going to use the Smooth Curve tool to straighten this part. Adjusting a bit here and there to match my boot to the reference. It's important to make sure our base is perfect to make the rest of the process easier and not go back and forth. Clean up our workspace a bit. And now that I'm happy with the shape of the boot, I will clone it over to create the details. I will remove the linked editing to not affect the inner parts and make these pieces symmetric to each other as well. I'll start by joining these pieces together. I'm working on the shape here to ensure it doesn't change too much when the pieces are joined. Then select the two lines and merge. I will disconnect the outer part from the inside here at the front and back and sew the left and right to each other. Let's also reduce the additional collision thickness to make the pieces fit a bit more snug. Great. Now I want to create that extra piping shape here at the front. I will use the internal polygon tool. Adjust to fit my reference. Cut and sew, and I'm gonna merge the upper part here in the middle to erase that seam. Okay, looking good. Now I want to do the same here to erase the front seam. I am just going to freestyle a new piece, keeping the middle straight so I can merge it to the other side. And I also want the rest of the measurements to be as close as possible to the original piece. I'm gonna sew this piece where the previous one is, and then I adjust as I go. Make sure everything matches. I'm gonna freeze the inside to keep the desired shape. Of course, this seam line down here needs to be turned. And also unfold it to the other side. And it's already sewn there since everything is symmetric. So moving forward, I want to create that double looking border where the white starts. I will offset the outline as internal line by 2.5 centimeters. And I will do the same on the inner pieces. And then I will cut and delete the top part from the outer piece, which would be the blue, and sew that edge to the inner piece. I'm going to round the edges of this seam line to match again my reference. I will use the smooth curve tool, click and drag to each point to round them. Let's see if we need these additional pieces. I'll try and simulate without them, but first I have to sew the toe piece to the main body this time. I need to delete the other sewing line first because they're overlapping. And of course these seam lines need to be turned. Adjust the shape here a bit to make sure everything looks right. And now it's time to create that piping or binding piece. I'm going to offset this part as an internal line by 8 millimeters. Adjust the shape and use the smooth curve tool to simplify this curve. And then I'm going to cut and sew. I'm going to freeze the rest of the pieces and delete these ones since I don't need them. I'm going to offset the outline of this piece once again as internal lines to help with the shape. And then, selecting all of the sewing lines, I will change the fold angle until I get the desired result. Same thing down here. also lower the particle distance a bit. And I can hide the freeze color and the internal lines because they're a bit distracting at the moment. And I actually don't think I need these lines after all. So moving on to the sole of the boots, I have the base shape ready, just need to extrude it here at the front part, as you can see, and then basically duplicate it and offset, and then create that extra edge to connect the two. So I want to firstly find the spots where it starts to come out and mark them. I can do that by clicking here on the 3D window. Clicking on X for the Add Point tool. And then before extruding, I'm going to copy this part as an internal line, because that's where the toe is connected to the sole. I want to keep that part sewn together. And then I'm going to offset it by 6 millimeters. I'm going to adjust this part to make the transition smoother. And then adjust the seam lines as well, since the front part should be sewn to the previous outline, that internal line we created. Then I will clone it and move it lower. Delete these sewing lines. And then I want to measure half of the sole to create that extra edge. So I create a rectangle 315 millimeters wide and 1 centimeter tall. Then I want to find where the sole starts to thicken. Oh, but before adjusting the width here, I also have to mark the part where the transition from thin to thick happens, which is 124 centimeters from the toe. And then I'm just going to adjust the height of it and also smooth it out by clicking and dragging with the smooth curve tool. Then I can sew it at the top sole and the bottom, here on the outer part. I'm going to freeze everything else except for that edge. And superimpose it to help you with the simulation. Oh, but one of the sewing lines is flipped. I can fix that by right-clicking and selecting reverse sewing. I need to unfreeze the bottom sole as well, so it can correctly follow the shape of the edge. As you can see, the edge here is rounded, but I want it to be really sharp where everything is connected. I can do that by selecting the sewing lines and once again adjusting the fold angle. So 90 degrees at the top and 90 also at the bottom. Then I'm gonna mirror this edge on the other side and sew it on there. Again, adjust the fold angle of the sewing lines. And here is our sole. Now for the heel. As you can see here, the heel is thicker than the sole. It comes out on the edges as well as the back. So what we need to do is cut that part. Let's call it the top of the heel. Now I don't need that bottom part, and I also need to delete the rest of the sole as well. I can add points where the sewing lines end and delete what's left. Do the same on the other side. Since it's a bit shorter, I'm going to adjust it separately. Remove the linked editing. And now to create the base of the heel, I will duplicate the top and move it flat on the ground. Holding shift, I can rotate it at exactly 90 degrees and then move it to where the sole starts. Adjust its shape and size as well to match the reference. It needs to be a bit wider. Holding Shift here and selecting the edges, I can see the total length next to my cursor. So I will create a rectangle that's 13.5 centimeters wide and 12 centimeters tall. Swing it to the top and the bottom. Before simulating, I'm going to shorten it a bit because it looks too tall now. And also I'm going to use the furnace tool to adjust the top side to match the top of the heel. It's 1 centimeter shorter. So -10. I'm going to reduce the particle distance to see everything better, and then adjusting the fold angle on the seam lines to correct the shape. Then we will create the last side of the heel in a similar way. This side should be 66 millimeters wide and 84 millimeters tall. And once again, the top side should be smaller by 1 centimeter. And I will use the furnace tool to adjust it accordingly. Not on the bottom side, on the top side. There we go. Adjust the seam line again. Sew it here on the sides. Adjust the angle one more time to 90 degrees. Now proceeding to add the rest of the details, I will cut out a small piece of this and hide it. I will add rendering thickness to the shaft, but only on the inside by selecting this backward option. Looks good. And I'll do the same thing here at the lower part, offset by 1 millimeter, and cut. And then add some rendering thickness, again backwards. I don't mind those parts that are showing, as they will be deleted later. I'm going to lower the particle distance to make everything look smoother. And I am adding some thickness to the inner part as well, again backwards. And we can see it right on these edges. Now we need to add the zipper here on the inside, or the zipper flaps. I'm going to remove linked editing to edit just one side, and I'm going to use the internal polygon tool to create the basic shape. Edit the curve a bit to look good. And then I want to extend that line to the inner part as well. And then I want to duplicate this line twice, one on each side. Selecting both sides down here. Same thing here on the inner part. Deselecting extend to keep the lines short. And then I want to select all of these edges and trace it as a pattern. Cut it right down the middle and sew it. I want to do the same on the shaft. Select everything and using the trace tool, trace it as a pattern. Cut it down the middle and sew the rest on the boot. Transform all of these seam lines to turned. And superimpose it over and simulate. I'm going to cut that zipper part from the shaft and remove the rendering thickness so it doesn't show through the flaps. But that means I need to sew everything together again. Seam lines not to be turned. Do the same here for the inner part. And then up here I will merge these strips together. Reduce the particle distance and add a bit of rendering thickness. Merge the inner part at the middle to remove that seam line. And I realized I forgot to disable linked editing for this, so I'll go ahead and merge everything together now here on the outside. There we go. And I can select everything I don't want to view and hit Shift Q to hide it, like these inner parts. And now it's time to add those top stitches, make everything look more realistic. I'm going to use the free top stitch tool and select the lines I want to be top stitched. Now, because of the rendering thickness, the top stitch seems to be flying over the fabric. And we can fix that by editing the Z offset. -1 here will do the trick. And then I can edit the length and width of the stitch to make it even more visible. I'm going to do the same here at the top. I will have to duplicate the top stitch used on the inner part, since it's going to be a different color. And it should be -0.5 here, since it's thinner than the other pieces. And we need one more stitch for the zipper. I will create a new top stitch since this one will be double. I can add the extra line down here, number of lines too, and adjust the space between them. And extend it here at the top. I think 1 millimeter between the two lines will look better. And for the last details, I will use this bow I downloaded from Connect Closet. Don't forget to select Add instead of Open to add this to your current file. Moving it here in place. I will use the pin tool to pin it. Place it where I want. And strengthen everything to help with the simulation. Now I don't need these lines over here. Strengthen doesn't really work, so I will use a trim preset instead. There we go. Ties need to be wider. And I'm gonna cut this piece right here to move it further back. And we actually need a softer fabric to drape like velvet. Oh, but not that heavy. I can change the weight down here. I'll speed this part a bit while I'm figuring out the shape. And then I'm going to reduce the shrinkage of this piece little by little to make it more snug. And I will duplicate this fabric and make the ties a bit softer than the middle piece. Adjust the length a bit to make it match the reference. Now I'm going to add this heart gem I downloaded from Connect. I'll use the glue to arrange it quickly. Right there in the middle. It definitely needs to be a bit smaller, so up here in trims I can select and adjust. There we go. And for the metallic trim that goes around it, I will create a heart-shaped piece using the polygon tool. Make it symmetric to the other side. And clicking on this target icon, I can arrange it just like gluing a trim. Rotate it to the front side. Now for tiny pieces like this, we need really low particle distance. And I'm going to add some rendering thickness, but turn down the curvature to keep the initial shape. Perfect. And lastly, we need to add all the different materials and colors. I'll start by renaming this base fabric main body white. Copy it and rename it to name body blue. We need one more for the sole, one in blue and one in black. And then this for the middle part, it will be invisible. Bring the opacity all the way down, and the velvet for the bow. Assign the correct fabric to its pattern piece. Time to add those colors. I have pre-saved the hex codes for the colors I want, so I will just copy and paste them here. And then I'm going to change the material property. For the sole we want plastic, and for the boots we want leather. Let's do the same for the top stitches. And actually, this part up there should be white, so I'm going to cut it and assign the white fabric. And we need one more material for the metallic trim here on the bow, so I'll duplicate one of them again and change the material property to metal and the color to white. Add a dark red magenta color for the gem and for the bow. And finally, to make this into a pair of boots, I will firstly remove any linked editing between these pieces and then mirror everything with Ctrl+C, Ctrl+D. Adjust the trim here on the other side. And there we have it!